Let's look at the future right now and the decisions that we are having to make as a country right now, given the possibility of tragic consequences. And here's a case I want to bring up. It seems to me that the rise of China presents America with its first real global rival as a hegemon, a huge civilization, a growing economic model, three times the people, however old China is and aging, and and certainly a transformation in the politics and geography and demography and economy of that part of the world since the beginning of the communist regime. Taiwan is a relic of that old regime. I mean, it has become something different since, but that is the origin of its separation from China, a separation that the United States has always been somewhat ambivalent about and ambiguous about. It seems to me hugely tempting to insist that American power is absolutely dependent upon sustaining the independence of Taiwan indefinitely, when it does seem to me that the idea that when you have two big growing superpowers, the idea that one will be able to actually dictate the sovereignty of an island that has always been part of its own entity, has long been, and now they want back. I just think this is hubristic to really argue that we can and should prevent Taiwan becoming part of China again. Tell me why I'm
Remember,
wrong.
China is not like the former Soviet Union, Andrew. China is a full spectrum power. Massive military, post-industrial electronics used for both military and consumer goods. It's a real deep layered civilization with institutions. If Putin died tomorrow, there could be chaos in Russia. If Xi Jinping died tomorrow, the Communist Party would meet and would elect a new leader. Yeah, it's a much more deeply institutionalized system. I think we have to find a way to just, to to go along, to keep China from invading Taiwan and hope after a decade or 2 or 3 decades, China itself evolves and changes. It's a matter of preventing a war at all costs, because I can tell you, a high-end military conflict in Taiwan or the South China Sea or the East China Sea would be, you said this about Trump years ago, an extinction level event. This would be an extinction level event for markets, for financial markets, because, markets swallowed the Iraq war, the Libyan collapse, Syria, even Ukraine. If Ukraine was solved tomorrow, the markets would have a 2 or 3 day rally, and that would be it. It would be over. But a high-end military conflict between the world's two largest economies, and probably the three largest when you include Japan, would tank markets. So it has to be avoided. And when we're talking about markets, we're not talking about greed. We're talking about our very livelihoods, everything we've earned, saved, all of that. So we have to find a way to keep postponing the problem, essentially, until China itself evolves. But the idea of that we should,
But China's evolution, as far as it has evolved over the last 10 years or so, has been an increasingly authoritarian and
I know.
increasingly fanatically nationalistic regime, in which an issue like Taiwan is going to be extremely important to them in a way that Ukraine is important to Putin, but more categorically a part of the China as a country. My concern is that the natural evolution is for China to take that over. Do we want to actually provoke an international crisis by insisting that it must not happen?
No, I don't think we do. Well, first of all, Taiwan has been radicalized by Hong Kong. Taiwanese watched what happened in Hong Kong and said, that's not going to happen to us. So Hong Kong made Taiwanese more nationalistic, essentially, to resist China. So it's even more dangerous. But I think this goes back to the Greeks. The world is imperfect. There is no solution. You're raising a question, and I'm supposed to answer that has no answer to it. That has no satisfactory answer to it. The key thing is we have to prevent the outbreak of a war.